Thanks for staying with us. You're welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Well, constitution review has been a constant issue with Nigeria's national lawmakers for as long as this fourth republic of the country's democratic journey has lasted. However, at every point in the life of the several sessions of the National Assembly since 1999, there has always been an excuse to either abandon the effort halfway, introduce in no-go areas, or sweep the entire thing under the carpet. Can it materialize this time? And which should be the areas of greatest need? For a conversation around all of that, we're now being joined by lawyer and public affairs analyst, Liborous Oshoma, who is giving us a very distinct Benue look this morning. Good morning, Liborous.
Good morning, thank you.
Good to have you on the morning show.
This
is for Madame, isn't it?
You're representing.
Yes, and for Benue, partly, and then also to understand that despite our diversity, because some of the no-go areas for constitutional amendment are usually, it is good for us to stay together. Despite our diversity, I believe that we are united when we divide.
All right. Fantastic.
That's a good one. When we divide.
So
Yes.
So let's start.
Isn't it the other way around?
That's the other way around, but for Nigeria, we've always been scared to say, we say, united we stand.
Exactly.
No. But the more united we are, we think we are, the more divided we are. But so the thing is, let's for once look at those divisions and see if we will stand. But I believe that we will stand stronger if we divide. But I will explain, yes.
All right, so let's start on that note. The public hearings, in different parts of the country are on stream, and people are talking. A lot of issues are coming up, not particularly new, but of course we know the ones that are that appear important to many quarters. The issue of state police, the issue of women representation, the issue of state creation. You said if we are more divided, the better.
You see, these are the challenges. Every year, every administration cycle, we come with the same issues: state creation, state policing, and the states are weaker by the day. Take our mind back to the 1959 debate, which in the life of parliamentary debate in Nigeria, no debates had ever been that robust and interactive between Chief Obafemi Awolowo and Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. That debate lasted for 2 good days on the entity called Nigeria, Federation, the way to go. And if we go back to all of these discussions, they've had them before. But we had an interregnum. The military came. Aguiyi Ironsi was keyed for trying to do what we are doing now, for unifying the country under one rule. We say we operate a federal constitution, but we are unitary in every form. A feeding bottle system where everybody goes to Abuja every Monday, returns on Friday. To do what? Collect allocation, look for contracts, and then the only prayer is we pray that government gives you appointment. And so you create lazy states. You breed laziness at the state level where everybody sits down, whether you work or not. At the end of the month, you just go collect allocation. And so anybody can become governor. Anybody can become lawmaker. So there is no quality in our polity. So when I say divided we stand, this same administration, when they were in opposition, the idea was, I listened to Fashola. I was a fan of Fashola. He would talk about structural reforms, fiscal federalism, that we need to properly place the Nigeria. Let me give you an instance. What's my business, for example, with Abuja when it has to do with ports in Lagos, ports in Port Harcourt, airports? These are the jobs of local government in other climes. But here, I attended a seminar, and it was in a hotel here. Guess who were the participants, discussants? All of them, they came to create a collaboration between Nigerian ports, our also FAN and Miami Port, and Miami Airport. And while they were introducing, the team from our sides were senators, ministers, MPMD, FANMD, and when they were introducing the team from the other side, it was Board of County Commissioners, representative of the mayors, no single person from the states, not to talk of federal. And so when we go out here to negotiate transactions, when we go out here to negotiate deals, we negotiate with local government, counties. But then we come here, we still patch, we operate Nigeria like a big local government, where the president will oversee everything from Maiduguri to Erumugogware, from, Sokoto, bringing Kebbi to Lagos. And then we're happy, oh, you're constructing a road, coastal road from Lagos to Calabar, another one from Sokoto to Badagry. These are not the jobs of local federal government. So until we sit down and ask ourselves, how do we unbundle this entity, make the center less attractive? And that's what we'll be discussing constitutional amendment. What we're basically doing now is we're window dressing the problems. Oh, let's create state police, let's create more states, and the states that you already have are not viable. Right. And so you're going to create more.
Let's just touch on the fundamental issues here. I mean, there's this call now is for a more organic constitution. I mean, this is not the first time that we are seeing a review of the 1999 constitution. I'd like to hear from your expert view as to what really is the fundamental issue regarding the 1999 constitution. Remember, if you recall, I believe it was last week or a few days ago, former President Olusegun Obasanjo had said that Nigeria's constitution is not the country's problem, but rather the people who operate it. I'd like your thoughts on that.
Yeah, first and foremost, let's look at the entity called Nigeria. Before we talk about the laws, the constitution, Nigeria belongs to nobody. Nobody owns Nigeria. So we see ourselves more. If I ask you now, then if you get to, you are looking for a job, the first thing is, what states are you from? What local government? And then, even if you meet somebody ordinarily in the course of interaction, oh, where are you from? What local government? What tribe? So we are more inclined to our, natural and cultural entity than the idea of a Nigeria. It's only when we go out of this country that we see ourselves as Nigerians. So why don't we tailor our constitution to give it that outlook, that will make it more competitive? For example, I have street lights on Awolowo Road, and I would be looking for the state government to fix them when there's a local government here. It's a responsibility. And so when you shift the responsibilities away from the government that is closest to the people, and yet we say all governance is local, what you're doing, you're making those people irresponsible. And so you reduce them to salary-paying agencies, and then you come tomorrow and say, the problem is not the constitution, it is the people that operate the constitution. Yeah. The constitution you have given to them had breed laziness in government, had breed ineffectiveness, so it will make it, very difficult to operate. Everybody comes, take what you can take. Nigeria is operated like an entity that is about to collapse. So go there, grab what you can grab before it collapses. And for us to reclaim or recreate Nigeria, you see, some people will tell you, don't go to Nigeria, they will say it, the unity of Nigeria is indivisible. No, it's not negotiable. No. Do you know why they say that? When you have a glutton in the family, he insists that you eat together because he knows that he will eat more. So some persons believe you have derivation, you have revenue sharing. So how do we share revenue? Well, let's use population. Let's use land mass. So some people believe that they have more population, they have land mass, just be procreating, money will come. And then, where are the Almajiris that my age mate today? Those Almajiris of the 70s, early 70s, where are they today? No sellable skills, no education. And so, they are pushed back into the society. The local government that is supposed to care for them, is salary-paying agents. So it is not just the people. Your constitution is defective. The earlier we sit down and say, if governance is local, why don't we create a government, an effective government that is local, that will take care of those local responsibilities, and not just window dressing. If you create state police, already we have state police. Last man is state police. Almost every state in the South is replicating traffic, state traffic management. How effective are they? Because the money to pay salaries is not there.
So if I even hear what you're even saying, you're speaking more to the fact that the constitution that we have existent, it's even hard to completely abide by what is in there. So my question to you now is, if that's the case, what are the odds that if there's a constitutional review, that would equally be followed? One of our biggest issues is abiding by the rule of law.
Do you know why it will be followed? I talked about our uniformity and similarity. For example, I don't share the same ideologies with certain persons in Nigeria. We don't share the same cultural ideology, political ideology, religious ideology, and yet we are operating under the same revenue sharing, under the same laws. And if you, I'm not talking about just, what do you call it now, for lack of a better word, I'm not saying that Nigeria should be divided and everybody should go their own way. What I am saying is that this constitution, we should find a way of truly operating a federal structure where the local government and the states will be more effective, generate revenue, use those revenues to take care of their entity and environment, and then pay taxes to the center the way it was in the First Republic. University of Ife, Obafemi Awolowo University, was built from cocoa fund. But now that we have oil, we still cannot build a university as massive and as wide as that. The Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, the largest university south of the Sahara, was built from funds from pyramids of granites. And it was competitive because the entity was easier, was, smaller to manage. If you have a smaller, let's say, and in their wisdom, the founders of the First Republic, Alice Kweme and co., when they came together and formed the G27, they sat down and said, how do we ensure that the country is easier to manage? They created 6 geopolitical zones. You have this northeast, you have north central, you have northwest, you have southeast, southwest, and south-south. So if you govern Nigeria along these geopolitical zones, instead of everybody going to Abuja every Monday to share revenue, to look for contract, you govern. So I wouldn't need to go to Abuja. Yeah. I would face either the southwest headquarters or face the south-south headquarters, or face the southeast headquarters. So when we're talking about the election, nobody will want to kill to get to the center because it will be attractive. And so the average south-south person will be more interested in the development of the south-south because the funds will come from there, the funds will be generated from there, and the people that will manage the fund will be there, and not everybody going to Abuja. Do you know why we waste funds in Nigeria? Because you generate funds from one region, and then you take it to Abuja, you are sharing to another region. It gets there, the man who is there does not even know how that fund is generated.
All right. I mean, this is your conversation about this revenue sharing formula among states. It's not unique. It's not the first time we're hearing. I mean, we're hearing from a lawyer like you. We've heard from statesmen calling for this sort of, amendment in the Constitution. Now, why do you believe it's falling on deaf ears?
Because, like I said, when you have a glutton in the family, he will insist that you eat together. Remember, in the Goodluck Jonathan's constitutional amendment, constitutional conference, the issue that they all agreed on a lot of issues. The moment the issue of fiscal federalism, was tabled, then that was when you now saw some people talking about 13%, 70%, and 30%. That divided, the entire House, and that was why they could not, in your intro, they could not achieve anything with that amendment because some people are rent takers. Every day they come to Abuja. So if you now say, look, this revenue can no longer be coming to Abuja, let everybody go to their region, generate the revenue, develop your region, then you have completely taken them out of business. All of these senators and House of Rep big cars, you won't see it. Now we are creating, to tell you that we need regional government. Go back to the 1963 Constitution. We are creating regional development commissions. Where's the fund going to come from? The same budget that governors are complaining, the same federal government is creating regional development commissions. You create one, if you build a road, the federal government builds a road in the south-south, the northeast will also request for their road. The northwest will request for theirs. The southeast will request for theirs. So why do you need all of this replication when they can all, there will be competition. So when they can all generate the revenue, and sunlight, the Chinese are selling sunlight, and we have it in abundance in the north. Because there is money coming from oil, nobody is thinking, nobody is bothered. Money will come. But
let me come in if you don't mind, because I'm slightly worried about the tone, a bit of the tone that you have used, and I'm saying that given what Oji asked about why the previous attempts have not worked. The initial question I was going to ask you was, why is the Constitution review advocacy appear to be a Southern Nigerian agenda and does not have so much excitement from the North? And the reason why that question is now very germane, will be because of the words that you have used. Gluten in the house, rent seekers, and things like that. Those who assume that they have more land, and they have more population. If that is the perception from the northern part of Nigeria, particularly the core north, don't you see that that's why it is unlikely that this project will fly? Because they can sense from the beginning that, this thing is targeted at us. No,
that's why I'm saying that there is so much natural resources spread across the length and breadth of Nigeria, not just oil. People, while federal government is killing and killing people in South all because of oil, some others are just taking our gold away in Zamfara, lead in Plateau, in Nasarawa, illegal miners. And then I talk about sunlight in the north. There is so much in Nigeria that if only we sit down to think and tell ourselves, you know what, there's no need just relying on resources from one end. Let us go back. Now, all of this fight over Peter Obi, Atiku, Tinubu will not be there, because you won't want to carry the burden of Nigeria when you can carry the burden of your region, generate revenue, and, make it right. But the challenge is because some people have been so brainwashed to believe that, look, if this thing is targeted at us, not them, but not the people, but them, the rent collectors, who use the resources meant for an entire region to enrich themselves. I talked about Boko Haram, Al-Majiri's banditry. These same people are suffering the same poverty that the man in Lagos is suffering. The area boy in Lagos is suffering. He's suffering the same poverty that the Agbero in Onitsha is suffering. Poverty does not know tribe. But the people who ordinarily should rescue the everyday person is consistently brainwashing them. Let me also tell you, do you know why the campaign is loud here? Yeah. As a young boy, I read both Bible knowledge and IROK. So I understand that Islam is not meant for what some people are using it for. But in some part of the North, they consistently brainwash them right from the beginning that, look, Islam is this, Islam is that. Meanwhile, those people that are telling you that religion should come first, they are not upholding those tenets that they preach, because they use it to consistently oppress the people. So when money comes, they collect and tell you, God will give you.
Isn't that what all
so now you also see it in the South, custodians of religion. Do you know why religion today is so prevalent in our society? because it has taken over the functions of government. If you travel out of this place, you go to other countries, I don't want to use developing, your prayer point will change because the local governance in those places is effective and functional. But here, because the nature abhors vacuum, so in the absence of those things that government would give you, government at the local level should give you, you see somebody will come and tell you religion will give you, God will give you this. So instead of pushing and insisting that government should provide good road, you are looking for blood of Jesus to provide safety for you. Because our priorities are upside down.
So what are the chances that even if this becomes the case, there will be some level of accountability?
That's why.
Actually, in their small sects, in their different regions, they will do exactly what they're meant to do. What are the odds that they will not just create another Nigeria within their own region?
No. Let's first and foremost, let's understand the point that the essence of discussing this is to educate people that this shouldn't be something you should be scared of. It is actually something that will liberate all of us from the shackles of these few that are holding us to ransom. And then, the thing is, because the entity will be smaller to manage, so that idea of creating another Nigeria will no longer be there. Because I will not need, this is the only country where you wake up in the morning, everybody, you go to the airport in Lagos and Port Harcourt, everybody is going to Abuja. You ask yourself, what is happening? Everybody is going to Abuja.
Liborous, you sound like the regional government and the, of course, which came with parliamentary system of governance, was like El Dorado in Nigeria.
No, it wasn't. But then, when you look back, we were far better.
In some areas.
In all areas. Name one area that we didn't do better. Do you know? It's a notorious fact that the Western government had television before France. Because the revenue was from here. And so they thought more about the smaller entity than bothering yourself about the entire country. And so when that happens, when that happens, you're not going to have the people, the agitation will be more about what would happen to us because this revenue, I'm paying taxes here, and so I need to understand what happens because the people won't be waiting for revenue from anywhere. So you have to work to generate those revenue. And so,
fine, but politics was not necessarily fine. Wild West, Awolowo and Akintola.
Those were isolated issues because of the level of education and intelligence here. Was it the same thing in the Southeast? No. Even though they had their differences, you had Michael Okpara, you had Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. Nnamdi Azikiwe was more of the center. Michael Okpara and others were, at the region. So it wasn't the same thing. And even in the north, Ahmadu Bello didn't come to Lagos, but he remained in the north to develop his region. And that's why till date, the average northerner respects Ahmadu Bello because of what he didn't have to bother about the entire country, Nigeria, because to him, he needed to liberate, the people. So it was easier for him to manage. So most of the people that went to school, that even went abroad to school in the north, were all on scholarship from Ahmadu Bello, not Nigeria. You didn't have to bother about Nigeria. So, but today, those same scholarship that people gave from granite, from cocoa, we have oil, we can't even give them.
All right. I mean, at this point, Liborous, the National Assembly is currently conducting zonal hearings for this constitutional review across the country. And, I've heard you touch more on, this revenue sharing formula across states. Now, what in your opinion, what do you think Nigerians would want to really see besides what you have just mentioned, reviewed in the 1999 Constitution? Because we're calling for these sort of organic constitution
all of
rather
this
than
jamboree that we're embarking on.
Yeah.
Let's go back to all the constitutional conferences that we've had. It's one recurrent decimal that we keep abandoning, which is restructuring fiscal federalism. Let's have a fiscal federalism. Let's truly operate a federal constitution and not this unitary constitution cloaked in federal garb. And that area we keep abandoning. And then year in, year out, we go back to this jamboree of collating opinion, even though they already have what they want to do. Let's go collate opinion. And the majority of the opinion is that let us revisit the 1963 Constitution.
Are you calling the zonal hearings jamboree? Is that what you're
Yes, I am.
So they should,
because at the end of it, we've had zonal, you remember during the Buhari's first term, we had, this is the fourth alteration of the Constitution, yet we still have not addressed the problem. Does that not show that we are missing something? And if you go back to all of the other amendments that we've had, other requests, the one request that they said don't talk about is the one that we believe that we should talk about. And so, now again, you have the patriots.
Which one?
Which is federalism. You have the patriots. They've come together again. The patriots are, eminent personalities drawn from across, all the geopolitical zones. And they've come again. Well, initially, when it started, was headed by Chief F.R.A. Williams, and then also later headed by Wambweze. Now it is headed by Emeka Anyoku. Yes. They've come again. These are people that have seen Nigeria at that time and are seeing Nigeria now. And they're like, no, we would not want to leave this country like this. We've had the best of Nigeria. So let us look at what we're not doing right. And what are they saying? The same thing. Let us go back and practice a true federalism, federal structure, the way it is meant to be. This idea of feeding bottle, rentiering, it won't take us anywhere. If you like, consistently do this zonal amendment, sit down and, have talk shows, it will not address the problem. Now, you have about 100 and something, requests for state creation. The only state that was created in Nigeria through a referendum was a Midwestern state, later divided into Edo and Delta. And after that, we all created states through military fiat. And today, a local government are requesting for states. Nobody's talking about how do we fund these states. You remember during Aregbe Shola's tenure, Osun State could not even pay salaries.
Midwestern turned to Bendel first, wasn't it?
Yes, it turned to Bendel first, Benin and Delta, and then later Edo and Delta. So today, we have more states than the regions that we had. Yet,
do you think we need an additional state?
We need to merge.
We need
to merge
I thought
back.
you said divided, we stay united.
That's what I'm saying. The division I'm talking about is not these mushroom states that we are requesting for. Every local government, every family now wants a state because they know that when you create more states, revenue will come. You don't need to work for it. So 30 days, you collect revenue and then buy expensive cars, and then you now begin to hear, do you know who I am? Do you know who you're talking to?
I want to take you
Nobody
back to...
works here. In government, there is no... You see senators, you see House of Rep members in other climes, the Western world, and then you see the work they put in.
These are issues. I mean, I hear you on the fact that there's such a disparity between the people and the government, especially when it comes to the standard of living. But I want to take you back to the state police because you spoke about the eminent patriots, who are one of their major push with regards to the entire constitutional review is state policing. But then we also have to, for instance, look at what we were talking about earlier today with the Edo state governor telling Peter Obi, if you come to my state, I cannot assure your safety. How do we ensure, because it still takes me back to accountability, that if at all the state police becomes a thing, it won't be used for political repression?
This entity that we are managing, if you create state police, you worsen it.
So
just
you don't
the same
agree
way.
With state policing then?
No, first and foremost, you need to put the structure properly before you now begin to talk about state policing.
Well, you said LASMA is like state police.
Yes. Let me explain it to you so that we understand it. You remember in the 60s, we had the Ibadan Native Authority, we had Lagos City Council Native Authority. These were state police. These were states, local government police, local governments. And because they understand the environment, they understand the nature of the environment, they could combat crimes in these areas. But you bring a man from Arugungu to police Ekakpamre, the first thing he will do is self-preservation. And then he gets there, the criminal will call him. He's one among the lords. They say, look, your brother that came ate his own and left too. So if you don't want to eat your own, you will die. And the state will not take care of you. So just play ball. and let us do our thing.
So now that takes
So
us
now-
to, that takes
wait,
just
wait.
just before, that takes us to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Self-preservation.
Yes.
It's because you have a problem. You cannot take care of your basic needs.
Because do you know why?
is it a
the man
constitutional
does
review we
the
need,
man
or-
does not no, the man does not have a stake in that environment. He doesn't have a stake there. He came from somewhere because of the warped federal structure that you understand that you operate. So they brought him from Arugungu. Come and police one village in Delta State. So he doesn't have a stake. But first and foremost, you need to create a structure that will ensure that the revenue from that area is generated from that area and taken care of by those people. So when you now have state policing, everybody has a stake. So one man will not come and tell you, oh, I can't guarantee your safety because his government controls the center that sends the police. And the IG, once you become a president, you appoint your own IG, who panders to the whims and caprices of the president. Everything I am saying now here, when APC, so I don't want to say APC, when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was in opposition, Lai Mohammed, Bola Tinubu, Fashola, everything I'm saying here now, they all said it.
All right, Liborous, I totally get you. You know, as we begin to wrap up, so what precisely will you want this government to do when you say create structures? Bearing in mind that you do not want a government, including lawmakers, that will negotiate themselves out of power and out of relevance. And in addition to that, do you think that there is a method to the steps that this administration is taking, one at a time? It might look tedious, but ultimately eyeing that you desire. If you take it from the removal of subsidy, for example, the floating of the naira, I understand all the pains and everything. The local government autonomy, and then the tax reforms that are saying, you know, collect taxes differently. This is how you share it. Those steps may appear to many people as being very strategic and methodic, so that you don't jump into a desire that can create further division. So how do you assess putting all these things together with your inner eyes and then that which we desire?
Yeah, I agree with you, and I agree with those steps completely. But the thing, let me start from negotiating themselves out of power.
And relevance.
You have to make sacrifice for you to remain in power. Do you know, if we had a president who is not interested in a second term, all of these things will not be issues. Because no, he won't want to negotiate with anybody for votes. Why we're having all of these things is because, well, the moment you're interested in second term, somebody would, you know, bring a shopping list. You can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do that. And then secondly, like I said, for you to remain in power, you have to make sacrifice. Which one is better? You just sit down in Abuja and begin to collect revenue, or you are stronger in your state and you are impactful in that area. At the end of the day, you've written your name in sand, in gold, in the sand of time, that it was in your time that this, your region, you know, saw what you actually call development, and not this, what do you call it, low-hanging fruits that governors will tar road, put manual pipe bomb water, and then you take newspaper page advert to celebrate them. And then coming to the reforms, these reforms, fantastic. But at the end of the day, if ultimately we don't get to the end, where we now say, okay, yes, you're collecting this revenue, the federal government still takes a lion's share, and then you now give a share to the states, which will be shared in a percentage. A new government can come tomorrow, just the same way this one has come, and say, you know, people are suffering, the hardship is too much. We'll reverse some of this policy. Are we not going to square one? We have seen it before, we've had it. So why don't we?
The proposition is a single term, 6-year term. Do you think that could be the magic wand?
There is no need for us to, why do you think why we're proposing all this single term 6 years is because the center is too robust and attractive. You don't even need to say, oh, look, one single term. If we have a strong regional governments, at the end of the day, I don't need to bother about Abuja. So the people, for example, I know my local government chairman, but how many people know him? Because of the nature of what I do, I have access to him. I can call him. These are roads are bad. It's okay, oh, don't worry, we'll see what we can do. But the funds are limited after we pay salaries. But it shouldn't be so. But how many people have such access to him? So the question is, why we are doing all of these things, these are low-hanging fruits. But let us eventually grind to that end where you won't have to bother about how will these people feel, because the people naturally, government will belong to them. They will own it, because it will not be as bogus as we already have. That's all I'm saying.
On the last note, really quickly, this zonal public hearing that you have called a jamboree, 30 seconds. What do you say? A talk shop?
Yes.
What role do you think that you can play in helping to make sure that the people's will are implemented?
This is a big role that we are playing here. Look, let me tell you, Arise is a big platform worldwide.
Within the, I just
so on what I have said here now, it's remain, because they say the internet never forgets. And so the role I can play, which I'm playing, I don't need to go sit down there and collect allocation. Yes, the role that I can play and which I'm playing now is that, look, let us go back. Baba Adebanjo preached this thing up till his death. Let us take back our 1963 constitution and the 1973 constitution, and then this amended one. Look at those areas, go back in time, look at what the developments.
All right.
And then find a way how to, take out those parts that moved us forward.
All right.
Instead of this ad hoc arrangement that we're having. You don't need a constitutional conference to begin to make Nigeria better. If we do it, if we do that, you can now take the constitution through a referendum, give it a time. People will soak it in, understand it, and then people will vote it into being.
Will the youths have a role in that referendum?
Certainly, because now...
You think they want to return to the 1963?
It is because a lot of them don't even understand what is contained in there.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's like a book hidden.
Yeah.
So when you make it a subject, everybody will go and read it.
On that note, Liborous Oshoma, I'd like to thank you very much for joining us on the Morning Show.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The Benue Odugu. Thanks for joining us
That I have
on the
no
Morning
idea.
Show today.